Yaron, could you share with us something about your background, where you were raised in Israel, what you did when you were, how you got to the point of being interested in dance?
Um, I born in Tel Adashim, 1954. The time that it was a small village. Um, that was built by the first pioneers of Israel in the Valley Israel, not far away from Nazareth. I born a dancer according to the story of the family. When I was 8 months old, I stood up in the bed. It was like a sulam, like a ladder, and I jumped over and I started to walk, not to walk, to run and to dance. And since that, I didn't stop. I moved to music, I moved with art music. I didn't know what I'm doing, but later on I knew that it's dance. And what's happened later on that I follow, luckily, the great masters of dance, and they helped me to lead my talent and my will of moving without interfere the talent. That was my life. They didn't want to control me, they didn't want to tell me what to do. They did more like today we are doing in therapy. They like ask me what I would like to do, what aims I'm going to use. The majority influence in that was Yardena Cohen, which was one of the pioneers of Israel. She got this year the Israel Prize for life achieving. She is one of these people that discovered the dance therapy, and she used it to create and to encourage the artist life in many fields. She used dance, but in many fields. I came from her as a dancer.
So you were a dancer as a child?
As a child.
And what happened once you started, when did you realize yourself that you actually were passionate about it, that you loved it? What did you do as you grew a little older when you realized that dance is something that you really wanted to do as a life work, as a profession?
It's different with me because it's not that I realized dance. I learned that what I'm doing and what I'm living is dance. For me, the dance was not discovery. I can tell you that the biggest shock in the world of dance was when I finished the army and I was invited to dance in Bat Sheva. The first day I came to the studio, it was morning, first class, and I'm coming from different technique, and the class was by Kai Lutzman, which was the director of the Bat Sheva company those time. It's the glory time of Bat Sheva, and he was a classic ballet star from the Swedish Royal Ballet. And I came in, it was a huge studio, the biggest studio I ever saw in my life, except my biggest first studio, which was the whole Valley Israel. But I came in and I saw all the people holding the bar. I didn't know that it's a bar, but it's something like metal things on the wall. And I said, oh, such a huge space and everybody is touch himself to the wall and he cannot move and hold the bar. So that was for me the most crazy thing I ever saw in my life. It was my first class in ballet technique. I was 21 years old and I never saw something like this in my life. And people who want to dance, like putting chains on themselves to be able to dance freely. it was shock for me.
So who were some of your teachers that you felt were extremely special and really helped you in such a tremendous way as you were growing as a dancer?
The main and the greatest one is Yardena Cohen. Yardena Cohen was working on the soul to experience yourself, to look inside and to let it flow out in your body like a volcano, like a catharsis, and to control it. Not to lose yourself. It's not ecstasy for ecstasy. It's a whole condition like poetry. To be very very precise, מאוד מדויק, honest, but lyric. Not to be vulgar and she could make me to work on a team or something for a year, 2 years, 3 years. She could work with me 5 years on how to live the way I want, my head up. After her, not directly, but I was a student of Rina Shaham after her, by her command, because she wanted me to get a strong technique, and those times Rina Shaham was famous as the greatest teacher for technique for men. She was a teacher of the biggest star of Israel, Ehud Ben David. She was the teacher of Fuad Narin, that is now the director of the Batsheva company. And it was a great choice of Yardena to send me there. But from Rina Shaham, she sent me to her teacher, Anna Sokolov, the great American choreographer. And the first class I took with Anna Sokolov. Anna was a star. And the first class was in Batsheva. I was already in Batsheva. And I was or in the last row or in one before the last row, because I was very ashamed from the glory of her name. She was a huge star, and I was just after the army.
נתחיל עם זה, צריך מגיע, כוס מים, קפה קר, הכל מגיע. מה שהיה מוכן לצאת.
I was just after the army, and she was a huge name. She was the star of Martha Graham, and Martha Graham was, the leader of Batsheva company, and she was like God, and Anna Sokolov was like the second of God. And I thought something like one thing, of course, I felt like big luck, and I said that's why I'm in Batsheva, so I can work with people like this. But I felt also like blessed with a great chance, because I could imagine I will be able to study from a person like Anna Sokolov. After in my life I met only these kind of people, but that was the first meeting. So I went at the end of the class. Many people was joining the class because Stockholm was a big star at the time. And she started, for my luck, with exercise of lifting the head up. It was unbelievable, my meeting with Anna. She was watching all the class. It was something like 30 or 50 people in the class. She was in the first row, and she ran directly to me, and she said, "Can you repeat it?" And I said, "Of course." And I did it again. And so she touched here, and she said, "This is very good. Where are you coming from?" I said, "Turkey." This is very good. And she stood in front of me the whole class. It was like a private class. After the class, Aya Rimon, that was her student in Julia, said to me, "You don't know what is waiting for you." And I said to her, I hope she will take me as her student. She said, "I think it will be more than that." Anna came those time to build rooms to Batsheva, her masterpiece. And she chose me after the class to be the star of rooms. So my first role in Batsheva, that's company, which was the greatest thing that can happen in Israel, was to be the star of the masterpiece of Anna Sokolov. was absolutely mature. I didn't know how to make rehearsals. I didn't know how to use steps, but I was the star. That's how I started my career. I was very lucky.
So where did you go from there? I mean, if you already you caught Anna Sokolov's attention and you actually started as leading choreography, where did you go from there? I mean, you already had reached a level of competence that was amazing. What did you do after that? What happened to you then?
It's two things. My tragedy or my luck, it's a conflict today, you cannot say what it's more, was to be very honest and to search always to the deepest point you can in art. And after about 1 year and a half I was in Batsheva, it was a big change, and Paul Sensardo came in, and he was for me a person of show business, and his demanding was very low for me, and the people he brought to the company, it looked like not on a real artistic level but more personal things, and other things that I don't want even to talk about it. It's for me very dirty. And those time I learned about Flora Cushman, that she was very, very famous and very important teacher in those times for modern dance. She raised the place, which is very famous today in London. It was very, very, very important school those time, and she was one of the basic teachers of Mudra, of Maurice Béjart in Brussels. Later on I went to study there because of it. But I just heard about her. She was in Israel already 1 or 2 years, but I never met with her. I was very busy always with the army, and also as a young in the career, I was all the time in the studio. I was working very, very, very hard. And I learned about her from Aya. Aya joined her company and they had a performance. So she said to me, why you will not come to Yerushalayim to see the performance? And I said, of course I will come. I saw the performance. It was the performance in the Jerusalem Theater in Globi. They had no money for renting the theater, no money to rent the studio to place the big Flora Cushman, but nobody supported her. Here it was also different time, and it was incredible, great performance to me. All the performance was Cushman's choreography. I came after the show to Flora and I asked her if she would accept me in the company. She said, but you're in the Batsheva Dance Company. I said, so what? She said, sure you want to leave Batsheva? I said, well, anyhow I will leave Batsheva. It's not for me anymore. It's a big change. It's became something that is not fit to my dreams. It's not fit to my soul. I will not be in Batsheva. And I found what you have to represent to the world for me. She said to me, if you're serious, come tomorrow 7:30 in the morning and be in Rina Nikova's studio. I said, for me it was normal. For Flora it was the first time I think in her life that she wake up so early. I was there. It's in Yerushalayim. We're talking about Yerushalayim. I did the class. I was shocked from the deep of Flora work as a teacher, not yet as a choreographer. I think I didn't show up in the rehearsals of Batsheva. It was no need because I was not going to dance Paul Sensardo dance for 3 days. After 3 days I decided to move to Yerushalayim, and that's it.
Want to take a